Yo, what's going on? Once again, ladies and gentlemen, bros, women, fanboys, and fangirls, and of course, as always, Otaku and Nikki Komodi's out there is the one, the only, of course, Mr. Nintendo Sony Freak 2011, aka Manny Wolverine. Of course, you guys are Wrestling Intros, Natural Swords channel. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, all other good stuff. And today, I went through this article 4 times straight. So I'm only gonna read half of it because I don't know what it is with Eurogamer, but my own personal opinion, maybe it's just me. Maybe you guys feel the exact same sort of emotional way, but their articles are way too fucking long. It's like reading a fucking long ass Harry Potter dictionary book. It's just an atlas book from the 90s and shit. Is way too over fucking whelming for me. So you guys can read the other half in the description box below. It's funny because I'm talking about Sony PlayStation PS4 news and PlayStation Classic news, and I'm talking about Xbox One news at the same time. This is the first time I've ever did this for my channel, putting both of these console systems not at war with each other, but mixing it up as a blend. So this one says Xbox1 mouse and keyboard support arrives November 14th. So shout out to this guy, John Figas. And then this one right over here, when I was previously talking about earlier, Martin Robinson. So shout out to him for making this article, giving credit is due. So they go on to say, we've played the PlayStation Classic and it's underwhelming. I don't know if that's a positive or a negative sort of remark that he's making, but whatever. So it says mediocre emulations and the animatics list of gaming, though there's still some magic here. Excuse me. I had a little bit of a big breakfast before I did this video, so yeah, there's that. So it says, I first heard of it through a playground rumor, whispering that there's a machine that could run Ridge Racer. The game had been woven us all over the summer holidays at whatever low-rent seaside resort our families had dragged us to. And what's more, someone knew a friend of a friend who had one, who imported one from Japan and had Namco's Polygon Ridge Racer playable in their own living room. First contract came that autumn in a friend's bedroom on a 14-inch CRT that offered a small window into the future with Wipeout. I remember playing Wipeout a few times, but I was like Jet Moto 1 and 2. Those were one of my real big classic PS1 games I was really into at the time back in the 90s. So let's move on. I don't want to get too sidetracked. And the next few months we were spent campaigning to get one for Christmas. And when it finally came, it felt like something else, more than than a mere new generations. The first PlayStation marked the beginning of a modern era of gaming. And so coming face to face with one of Sony's offices all these years later is an emotional experience, like chancing upon an old friend. Strange how a little gray lump of plastic can prove so powerful for someone of a certain age. Even though they are now looking at the PlayStation, it still looks like a relic from the future. And just as it is when you returned into your hometown after years away, I should say years later, but I don't know, the British talk different, so it is what it is. It seems so much smaller than you remembered it. And then just a whole little comparison. It's probably been going on for the past 3 months. People have been really be talking about, oh, it's too small. That's why it's only 20 games. It should be 30 like Nintendo's NES and SNES classes. But you know what? I'm not going to bust their balls too much. So anyways. Then just next to the original PlayStation is the PlayStation Classic, which is smaller than you might have imagined it. Some 45% smaller. In fact, although it's perfectly formed, an impressive miniature that looks like one of the originals has been left in a hot wash. I think that's supposed to be like a laundry thing, or the washer, the dryer. That's what we call here in the United States. I don't know how they call it in the UK. And that's what they call the washing machine over there, hot wash. Whatever. Not here to talk about differences in cultures and all that stuff. Let's move forward. It's lighter too. Of course, coming in at a 170G, though lifting up the original console, it's remarkable how light that feels compared to the unwieldy bricks of today. The PlayStation Classic's controller, meanwhile, is a 1.1 likeness of the original, and that's the original. Remember that this isn't DualShock This isn't a DualShock that was introduced in 1997. I remember that very well. I could get in a whole bunch of things of what's happening when I was 8 years old in 97. Or when I was 7 in 96. It is what it is. It's remarkable how light that feels compared to the unwieldy bricks of today. Oh, I already read that. And as such, it lacks rumbles and those two analog sticks. It is even so lighter, slightly lighter in the hand, though that's simply down down to the fact that there's a slimmer cable protruding from it, and that the cable's end is a USB-A connector, itself protruding from a plastic nubbing that perfectly mimics a connector on the original PlayStation controller and that slots neatly into place onto the console. It really doesn't look like the part at all. The console hardware itself has some of the neat functionality too. Around the backs is powered. It's powered by a micro USB. I should say port there, but whatever. And there's a single HDMI out, while the top of the console of the 3 buttons are all put to use. The power button is self-explanatory. This reset button throws you off out of any particular game and into the PlayStation Classics menu. When the eject button is finally used to change this into the games that are split across from several CD-ROMs, such as Final Fantasy VII. Alright, this is the last one I'm going to read. You guys can read that last part in the bottom because, like I said before, I'll say it again. Eurogamer is very notorious for writing super long-ass articles that take years to write or read. So it says there will most likely be ways of stacking other games onto the PlayStation Classics while it's out in the wild, and it'll be interesting to see what's under the hood. The beliefs is that the same silicon that powered the Vita and the PlayStation TV is at work here, and the brief hands-on does little to dent that is suspicion. Alright, this is the last one I'm reading, and I'm going to go to the Xbox One for all my Microsoft fanboys out there and fangirls. So it goes on to say, as a piece of a simple engineering, then the PlayStation Classic is a triumphant, a perfectly adorable, shrunken down version of the original that would look just splendid on your shelf. It's only really when you plug it into that things that start to fall a little bit apart. The front end is responsive, if not exactly attractive, though its graphical styling at least period correct for the mid-90s games that are next to no option. Alright, sorry ladies and gentlemen, I had to take a little bit of an important phone call. I know you guys probably heard that earlier, but it's from one of my homeboys and roommates. So we're having extra barbecue with his famous Dave, so that's going to be the fucking jam. So apologies, I had to pause that there for a couple seconds. So as I was saying before, where was I reading from? Okay, I think it was around here. The front end is responsible if it's not exactly attractive, though its graphical stylings are at least period correct for the mid-90s games it's hosting. There are the next to no options. You have the ability to enable a screensaver, tinker with the power saving modes and languages, and that is it. There are no screen filters and nothing to try to suit the transitions of these games onto TVs that they were never designed for. The Outpost is a 720, a logical enough choice given by the majority of games here that are 244p and upscale fairly clean with a small black borders either side of the image, but it can't hide the fact that something feels off about these games look and play. Getting to the relatively crude 3D work of the original PlayStation games, to play nicely on a modern display was always going to be a tougher task than they faced by Nintendo with the previous 2D dominated classic consoles. But the soft scaling doesn't help its cause. There's noticeably lag, minimally so when playing a 30 FPS game such as Ridge Racer Type 4, but much more pronounced in the 60 FPS games such as Mr. Driller or Tekken 3, which, by the way, those are games after my own heart. I love the fuck out of all the Tekken series. You know, I'm a huge fighter simulator fan guy, so you already know that was the jam. Even some of the puzzle things like Mr. Driller, that was decent. I wish it would have been Bomberman, but I'm not going to bullshit and complain about that. So I think Nintendo had that too. They feel souply in the hand, though that's as much of the fault as modern displays compared to the more responsive CRT games that these games were designed from anything else. And there's a little video thing there, and you guys can read the rest of this on your own. So let's get to the quick Xbox One news. So John Fingas, getting credit where credit is due. So it says you won't necessarily need to be an early adopter to try these Xbox One's vaunted mouse and keyboard support. As of November 14th, Microsoft is rolling out its input and the options to the gamers through an update. This won't mean that everyone will get the ditch to the gamepad right away. The first tiles will still be limited to insiders. This will let developers and mouse and keyboard controls to their games. Add mouse and keyboard controls to the games. That's what I meant to say. Though it won't be just limited to Warframe in the early days. Most notably, Epic has confirmed that Fortnite will be on one of the first Xbox games with the new input support. You already know I don't really give a shit about Fortnite. No offense to people that really love Fortnite. For me, that's just too much of a trendy game. I really don't give a shit about real super popular games like that. No, I do like, the classic stuff like Pokemon and Legend of Zelda, and the real old school stuff like Donkey Kong and Samus. Those were my jams at that time, but it's because it holds a nostalgic place in my heart. Fortnite only came out last year, and it's too goofy and fucking stupid. That's why I really don't care too much about Fortnite. No offense to anyone that really likes playing those Fortnite games, but for me, I like the PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds a lot better. It's just a lot more of a personal choice for me. This will limit you to matching up with other similarly equipped players, but it should please fans who'd rather not buy a gaming-ready PC just to play the Battle Royale games, would generate greatly agility and precision. A handful of games are expected to support mouse and keyboard play in later November, including Vermintide 2, War Thunder Strange Brigade, Bomber Crew, Deep Rock Galactic. Several games will get support in the longer term, most notably DayZ. With most of the USB mice and keyboards should work, Microsoft wants to go beyond that. And they want to go plus ultra. No, I'm just kidding. Let's move on. That's a Hero Academia reference, and just in case you guys don't know what I was talking about. Anime. Let's move forward. So it says it's launching a design for Xbox, program for keyboards that are designed with the console in mind. They'll have a dedicated Xbox key and will support that system's dynamic lighting features to change hues into the game. Razer is currently the exclusive, quote-unquote, partner shipping a design for Xbox mouse and keyboard setup, and will unveil its hardware in January at the CES. Oh, that's the one that's Consumer Electronics Store, the one I always do down here in Vegas. So it's going to be a bitch nightmare for me to be going out of work because I know there's like an ass load of traffic over there every time I come back from work in the first 3 or 4 days of January. It is a fucking bitch to get there because it's always super heavy traffic there. Because that's a big ass convention they do on a strip all the time. I wish they would do it off of it, like on the downtown Fremont show. It would be a lot easier, but whatever. Overall thoughts, views, and opinions. That's really, really good for any Xbox One owners or Xbox One X owners or Xbox One S owners. Whatever the hell you want to call yourselves. I don't know if this is really going to change the game style, like how much faster it is from a traditional like video game controller. I'm not sure it's going to be a lot faster or slower, because if it was me, I was playing on keyboard, I'd be a lot slower at it, because I'm really, really shitty when it comes to playing keyboard PC games. It's just not really my style. I always hook up the PS3 and PS4 like controller whenever I get the chance to do that. It's a lot more of like a traditional way for me, because I was originally a console gamer. So it wasn't until about 2009, early 2010 was I started getting into PC games a couple of years ago, about 9 years ago to be exact. And I mean, I'm not saying all of them are trash. Some are good, some are not. It depends on what level of skill and typing abilities that people has. And for the younger generation, it's a lot more easier than it was for me. I'm just saying. Even though I'm in that younger generation, but I'm still like not pure millennial, thank God. And that's it. Links to description box down below. Cartel on the side if you want to read the rest of the articles in your own personal time, and I'm out. Peace out once again, ladies and gentlemen, bros, women, fanboys, and fangirls, and as always, tacos and nikikomoris out there. I'll see you when I see you. Good day, have a good night, wherever you're at around the world out there. Don't just smoke at the same time. Don't think reckless. Stay tuned for more future content and article session reviews on this channel, including video gaming, industry news, anime manga news, internet news, and that wraps it up. Take it easy, stay safe, peace out, my sauerkraut, late and bye. We'll see you on the flip side. Take it easy, I'm gone, I'm out. Stay tuned for more future content and future videos on this channel, and that's it. Later.